All right, welcome to the Pickleball Guru's newest webinar. I'm Randy Manaply. I'm here with the original traveling pickleball coach and author of the two best-selling books, Smart Pickleball and Drop Shot Till You Drop.
Hello, everybody. Welcome, Guru Nation. Welcome to, it's been a while, and I'm glad to see you all.
And this episode is all about aggression, when to be aggressive and also when not to be aggressive. But first, a few major announcements. First up is a free ebook, 7 Optimal Pickleball Strategies. Praying, we play a whole lot of rec games and notice the same mistakes being made over and over. How can this book help players out?
That's a good question, Randy. Since you authored, co-authored that particular ebook, I would love to hear your version of that.
Well, one of the comments that I make is that the great thing about pickleball is that players are so helpful. And one of the worst things about pickleball is that players are so helpful. And I mentioned that because a lot of times you get different advice depending on who you talk to. And it's usually prefaced with, you should always do this, or you should always do that. And a lot of times it's not based on any type of situational awareness. And that's why the title of the book is Optimal Strategies. In other words, you can play however you want, but if you employ the optimal strategies, your game will most definitely improve.
That is true. That's an accurate statement. It is true when you're up and coming, especially when you're trying to learn the game, and there's you have a lot of experts out there who are who are joyful, at times, or forceful in saying what is the right way to do it. As I always mention, there's no right or wrong way to do anything in pickleball or in life as much. It is mostly related to the fact that you need to find an optimal way of playing it, an optimal or the ideal way of playing it, which would be the best options would be available to you when you're playing, no matter what your skill levels are, to be able to get your optimal results. It's not about win or losses again. It's more about how you can contribute to playing the game we all love in a way which would be much more joyful for every individual playing it. And since you wrote the optimal version of it with Randy, what is some of those tidbits you could already offer in those?
Well, the first one I'll talk about is get up to the line fast. And the reason why I say that, I was hosting a clinic for some of our members here in Warrenton, and 2 of the members had just come back from another coach's camp. And one of the things that they were told was on the return of serve, you don't need to get up to the line as fast as possible to join your partner. They said basically you could stagger up there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exactly sure what the strategy was, but both me and the guy that was running the clinic, we immediately says, who the hell did you hear that from? And they told us, and we're both shaking our head like, no, never do that. If you're the receiving / returning team, your job is to get up to the line as fast as possible and join your partner. There's no hanging out in no person's land for any type of strategy that we know of.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just one example, and we certainly go more into that, including on the serving side, getting up to the line as fast as possible.
Uh-huh.
In the book.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And again, we definitely relate to more of what the optimal options are at that point when you're returning a serve, and so that's a valid point. And as I said, there's no right or wrong, but at the same time, what would be the most efficient way to be up at the line, and why that would be efficient to be at that line, simply because it gives you more options to be attacking when you are what I would call the party line, or the non-volley zone line, which is where the game is won and lost. So if you can be there and be a dominant force from that area, that's the place you want to be.
Right. And you can get this free ebook just by clicking on the link below. And now for our other major announcements. The first is that you're coming to my neck of the woods in October for a clinic and a boot camp. You'll be coming to Warrenton, Virginia for a clinic on October 20th and 21st, and then a boot camp on October 26th through the 29th. 3 pickleballers have already signed up for the boot camp, so there's only 5 spots left for the boot camp. And we've got a special for you. If you sign up by Thursday, September 21st, you'll get $750 off the list price. The registration link is below, and all you need to do is use coupon code Chestnut to get this massive savings. The reason why it's Chestnut is because we'll be holding the boot camp at Chestnut Forks. If you're coming with a partner, shoot me an email, randy@thepickleballguru.com, and you can get an even bigger discount. How excited are you to come up to here to Warrenton, Prem?
I am very excited. Well, first of all, because it's your neck of the woods, Randy, and I've been there once, and I truly enjoyed the beautiful area that is. You know, it's that close to DC, but it feels like you're still living in a different part of the world, and it doesn't feel, you know, very busy compared to metropolises or cities go by, and it feels much more. You're in the country, but still, you know, it's a beautiful area. I'm really excited to be out there and help the folks out there and locally for the clinics, especially, and then the boot camps for the people who join the boot camp.
And the other thing I'll mention for the people in Northern Virginia that may be living in Arlington or Centerville or Fairfax or something like that, you'll be traveling against traffic. So you're going to be going against rush hour on 66, not with it. So
that definitely, I'm looking forward to being in Warrenton for that boot camp, or in Chestnut Forks, as you said.
And before I talk about the other announcements, you've got a boot camp coming up in Costa Rica in November with only 2 rooms left. Time is running out, so get on in this now. Anything else you'd like to say about Costa Rica, Prem?
Well, all I can say, it's a very, very beautiful facility where we will be holding the boot camp, and there's a few number of additional trips, things which we'll to discover. Costa Rica, we'll have a lot of exploration to do also off the time we spend, and we are on the beach there at the Pacific Coast, which basically means you have access to the beach, the clubhouse, and multiple restaurants in that inside that community. It's calm because it's not really in a city or in a town. It's by itself. It's in a community, in a commune area. But you have access to a lot of tennis courts, pickleball courts, golf courses, and obviously the lots of ocean area to explore and have fun with. And we do have a few exploration into certain parts of Costa Rica where the rainforest is, and waterfalls, and a few other expeditions during off time outside the pickleball time also. So it's a wonderful place. Been there a few times, and I've really enjoyed. And there's also towards the end of the camp, there's a day where we will go into the city, which is adjacent to where the commune is. It's called Tamarindo, and there's quite a good variety of good players of pickleball, and so there's sort of like a fun competition to just sort of match the boot campers across with the people, with the local folks out there, and it's a fun group to play with at every level.
And we've also got other clinics and boot camps coming up in January. There's a clinic and boot camp in Zephyr Hills near Tampa. The boot camp only has 4 spots left. By the way, use coupon code HILLS, HILLS, by Thursday, September 21st for $500 off the list price. And at Pickleplex in Punta Gorda, Florida, we'll be having a clinic and 2 boot camps. For the boot camps, use coupon code PLEX by Thursday, September 21st for $500 off the list price. And just like Warrenton, if you're coming with a partner, shoot me an email and I'll give you all the details for even more money off. Anything else you'd like to add about these upcoming boot camps, Prem?
I'm pretty excited. I've been to Zephyr Hills last year, and I really enjoyed what Zephyr Hills was to offer me, offer the boot campers. It's a lovely facility. There's a great restaurant in Zephyr Hills, in the complex itself, and there's also some lodging facilities which comes along, which people can easily access to. It's, where people can actually stay and be at the facility. There's a paddle tennis courts also available in that complex. So there are a lot of activities for people to do whatever they want to do out there. And as far as Punta Gorda, that's going to be my first experience. I've known those folks when they started the Pickleplex, but it'll be my first foray into that area, into that complex. And I'm excited, super excited to really be there and explore the possibilities of sharing pickleball, not only with a local group there, but also with all the boot campers who come down to those camps.
So let's start talking about aggression. We sent out a newsletter about a week or two ago about when to be aggressive on the pickleball court. Prem, give everyone a quick recap on when to be aggressive.
I would always recommend you the best place to be as aggressive as possible is when you're at the net. Or when you're at the party line or the non-volley zone line. That's where you want to be very aggressive. If that ball is high enough, you want to be aggressive. If your opponents are putting balls high enough for you to put it away, you gotta have to be aggressive. Those are opportunities. A lot of times I notice a lot of players just giving up those opportunities when it is attackable and get passive on those times. So I think that's a very important time to be aggressive is generally when you're at the party line.
I take it a step further and say be aggressive when you're serving.
Yes.
And the reason for that is because if you don't make the shot, the worst that happens is it's a side out or your partner's going to be serving. If you're receiving and you are overly aggressive and you miss the shot, you've given up a point, which is the last thing you want to do when you have the advantage of being at the net.
That's a very valid point. Yes, we did talk about that last time on the article. Yes, be aggressive, especially when you're serving. When I mean being aggressive, it doesn't mean that you have to ace someone or try to drive a high serve, but take more risks when you're serving, because if you do win that point, you are probably you win a point, as you said, Randy. If you're returning, and at the most if you're aggressive when you're returning, you might lose a point, and that is different comparatively to someone who's serving, because if you all you do is you might have a side out, or you might have your partner serve, but at least that's the time you want to be aggressive for sure.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll try the passing shots that are fairly low percentage shots when I'm serving, when I have that opportunity on the third shot. The other thing I'll do, even when I'm at the line, I might try a lob, and I almost never lob when I'm on the receiving side, because I know it's a low percentage shot and it's a high risk shot. It's almost like an all or nothing shot, to say the least. And if you're receiving, yeah, there's no sense in going for it, in my opinion.
Yes, that's a very, very, very accurate statement there, Randy. It's a very valid point. Always be aggressive when you're serving. When I mean aggressive, it doesn't always mean about serving really hard or fast. Be aggressive in the senses you can score points if you are aggressive, and if you don't, you're not losing anything else. But when you're in the receiving side, you're definitely, if you miss a point, you're actually giving point to your opponent. So
phrase aggression to be in take chances first or being conservative in your play.
Yeah, don't hold back.
Yeah,
that's right.
So let's now talk about when not to be aggressive on the court. And we're talking about this because there's a lot of discussion about this in the forum, and there's even a proposed rule for 2023 about targeting a player's head, of all things. There's also some other goofy ones where you're not allowed to lob on the third or fourth shot or some nonsense like that. With all that being said, Prem, when should you, I guess, hold back in a game and not play as aggressive as you normally do?
Well, couple of things. One, going back to the article to just refresh that part is
Hmm.
probably you want to be less aggressive or a little bit more conservative when you're receiving or when you're returning a serve, because any mistakes you make there, you're giving the point away to your opponent. So that's definitely one option which you want to be very careful about when you or a little bit more smarter choices of shots rather than trying to be all out aggressive when you're returning, because if it doesn't succeed, you're generally going to lose a point. So definitely more conservative then. But outside that, I would always say when you're playing recreationally, and this is where you're coming with. I'm not quite familiar with the 2023 possible ruling over headshots or something like that. But I do understand that, like, when you're playing in recreational setup, and if there is a, let's say, a variation of skill level, when you have someone who clearly is not as strong as you or your partner is, and that person is comparatively weaker, at that point, it's really not suggested. I think it's totally uncalled for to be aggressive or try to hit balls at the body. I don't have an issue with the body shots, but I do have an issue of the body shots being hit to people when they are not actually that skilled to deal with it in a recreational setup. This is, if it's competitive, I get that the body shot is part of the game, and but in a recreational setup, I think it's uncalled for when you clearly know that that partner is the opponent is not capable of handling that type of speed. Especially in the low level plays, when that one player is, or a couple of players are not really that strong. There's no point of trying to prove something about how good you are and trying to smack the ball into someone's body. And people are just trying to learn. Either be helpful or don't try to hit someone.
Right. The two stories that I always tell about this is I was playing with someone who couldn't move very well at all, and our opponent kept short angling serving him with fairly hard serves to where there was just no way he was going to get the return. And after about three or four of these, I looked at her and I just said, "What are you doing?" Because I mean, she aced him like four times, and so you couldn't even get a rally going because he was so mobility challenged, and she stopped. Um, the second funnier story is when a young guy who could hit the ball very hard was playing against what we'll call the more social players. After about five of his drives, this one lady went up to him and said that if he didn't stop, she was going to rip off a certain pair of his body parts. Um, yeah, I think we can all figure out which two body parts we're referring to there. Um, and in the case that you're talking about, uh, this guy, I guess he was out to prove something that he could hit the ball hard, and it was not taken very well from the people that were not as strong or as athletic as he was.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, like, if you are playing with players, even in the social setup, if you are playing with four players of equal ilk and equal skill levels, and you want to go at each other, it's totally fine. There's no real issue with that. It's simply when in the social setup, when in a social game setup, where clearly, your opponents are not as good or as skilled as you are. There's nothing to prove, really nothing to prove, to try and, as they say in cricket, take the leather off. Or I don't know if that's a term in baseball, but basically, there's no real reason go for the scalp at that point. It's just let it be, play, try to practice your points and different other shots rather than trying and kill someone with a ball. There's no real need for it. It's uncalled for, really. It doesn't really make the play fun for anyone. And as you said, even it doesn't have to be something about hitting someone on the body, but it could be something like, as you said, if you know particularly a person who's not mobile enough, there's no point of trying to hit a shot. So what are you gaining off?
Right.
And nothing. But if it's a competition, I get it. If you're in a competition, if you're playing a tournament, then everything is fair. I get that that's part of the game. Hitting someone on the body is part of the game. Again, when you're targeting, good players will always target, anything between, shoulder all the way down to the belly. That's where you want to be targeting. No one purposely tries to hit someone on the face. Sometimes it might happen by accident. And I would probably recommend them to be a little bit more, compassionate about what they are doing rather than trying to, prove that. And it happens often, and quite often times when I play recreationally, that it's a shot which I would normally table when I'm playing players who are not my level, and it's no point in trying to prove. I know who I am. I know what my play is. I don't need to prove that. If I play with players my level or somewhere close to my level, then I would definitely challenge them with those shots. If it's opportunity arises, I would definitely do that. But I would not do that to someone who clearly is not as coordinated as or ready for a shot like that in the body. That's not really needed for. But if it's competition, yes. And sometimes there's some issues at times, even in competition, sometimes when women are hit, who are becoming targets of those balls, they don't really like it. But, please don't play competition in that case. Uh, uh,
So when else should you not be aggressive, Prem?
not to be aggressive outside that, as I said, like outside those times, I'm not sure what else in social play. Please either play with try to be aggressive when you're playing with, or play with your people who are in the same level. I mean, if there is a skill level difference, social play means that sometimes you get to play with people who are not forcefully your level, and that's okay. It's open play, and then you get to play with players. Try to practice. Use other things you want to practice. Maybe a drop shot, or maybe an offensive lob. You could practice a lot of other shots in your game, just rather than focusing on trying to hit someone. Um, but if it's four players are in the same level, go for it.
Now, what about when you're playing uh, aggressive players themselves? Should you try and counter with playing a more soft game, acting like the parasite, as you mentioned?
Definitely. I have a theory around that, and then that's something which I always applied in my game. I always say is like, if I see players who are very aggressive, I tend to just play the opposite, because um, you're not trying to feed the beast. Basically, that's basically what it is. You're trying to just revert to a play which they don't really like. So I would completely slow down the game to players who are ultra aggressive, and I will just do the opposite to players who are completely ultra passive either. So if they're completely passive and they're just going to keep loading balls up, then I will just get much more aggressive, because I want them out of their comfort zones. So yes, I would definitely say that if someone is hitting hardball, go back to playing something much more softer, or play a pattern of game which would not fit their style of play, or which they would be frustrated with. Um,
And
a-
go
an
ahead.
ideal player, I would say, is, as you develop as a player, an ideal player would be someone who's a hybrid player who
Sure.
has both the games. They have the aggressive part, and they also have the softer part. And today's high level pros out there who are playing on different pro tours, if you watch them closely, you will notice that all of them are hybrid players. They're capable of slowing it down when they need to, and they're capable of speeding it up when they need to. So they just have both the games in place. If you're just unidimensional player, then you always try. If you're an opponent to a unidimensional player, play whatever game is opposite to their dimension of play.
And is there anything else you'd like to mention about being aggressive or not being aggressive?
Nothing I can think of right now, Randy. Do you think there's anything else you think there would be?
No, the way you're talking about like being the parasite, what I was thinking about was I don't have much power in my game to begin with. And so a lot of times when someone's either trying to drive the ball to me or even drop it, I'll just try and send it back to their feet and waiting until it eventually comes to my wheelhouse before I try to put any type of power into it.
I'm a
In
recipient
other
of
words,
it.
I'm waiting for that perfect shot. I'm not trying to force the matter to try and hit a more difficult shot than what needs to be.
I'm quite familiar with that. I've been recipient of it for a while with you. Well, the analogy of a parasite, which you're talking about, Randy, is something which I always is like if someone is hitting you really, really hard balls, I always say be like the parasite, just suck the energy out of them, use their power to counter them rather than using your power to counter them. So that's the analogy often I make is like just draw that power from them. You don't have to do anything on top of it. You just stay there and use their power, rather than generate more power, because people who are aggressive or power players, if you keep hitting them, and they'll come back to you faster. So there's no real reason for you to do that. Just use their power. That's what I meant being a parasite. Just suck their energy. Use their energy to counter them.
Excellent. So that's it. I guess one of the parts of the theme of this is also situational awareness, knowing who you're playing against and take advantage of the situation. Don't try and force it.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. Is like, just know when you have to be like, when you're playing recreationally, when to be aggressive when you serve. Try to be a little bit more conservative when you're receiving. And at the same time, when you're playing social play, just know who your opponents are, and if you're playing that, when to use aggression or when to be more forceful in your shot making, depending on the type of opponents you're dealing with. If you are dealing with players who are not as skilled to receive that type of speed and game, unless it's a competition, there's no real need. It's uncalled for to try and be, try to hit someone with the ball.
All right. Hope you're able to join us in Warrenton or one of the other upcoming boot camps. And as I mentioned, links and contact information's below. Anything else, Prem?
Nothing else, Randy. Again, very, very grateful for everything you do for Pickleball Guru and for writing this book, the free book. There's a lot of beautiful things which has been written in that one, and I think please click that link and download it, and you will get a lot of information on that 7 optimal strategies for optimal play. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in one of the camps or in clinics, be it in Warrenton or in Punta Gorda or in Costa Rica or anywhere else. Until then, have fun at the pickleball courts, and remember, it's only pickleball.
All right. Thanks, Prem.
Thanks, Randy. Sorry, I'll have to leave because I had to go pick up Shanti.
All right. Bye.
Thanks, bud.
It's been wonderful. I liked the coaching, I liked the people, I liked the one-on-one. I see the court in a different way now. It's been very good. can tell you, I have done other boot camp, or not boot camps, but other pickleball things. What I like about this best is the small number. You know, the small number, because you get that more one-on-one attention. There's more interaction with him playing on the court with you and telling you where to be and how to see the strategy and the breakdown of the court. Don't get that in the larger ones. You know, I've been at boot camps where there have been, you know, a lot of people, and yeah, they have a lot of different coaches, but they're floating around, and sometimes you're getting help and sometimes you're not. So this was very good.
So as I said before, as a fundamental part of my teaching is do everything and anything which buys you time. So if someone is hitting you a fast ball, you have little time to react to it. So that's one of the reasons why you dink, because you give yourself more time so that you're waiting for your opponent to make the mistake.
Tell them to definitely do it. I think it will improve your game. You'll get a lot of individual attention, and I'd do it again.
I would highly recommend it.
I would say sign up, because he makes it very easy, it's low-keyed, and there's no tension among the other people, no rivalry, it's all camaraderie.
Do it.
Yeah, absolutely do it. I would say do it. The one-on-one, the intimacy, it's very good. We really do learn things.
Coach-student ratio is terrific.
Yeah, well, and he teaches certain things until you get it. You know what I mean? Very good.
I would tell them to definitely do it. That I love the personal attention. There's only 8 players, and so you get a lot of one-on-one instruction and focus. So definitely sign up.
Well, today funny that I got stopped by 3 strangers for about 20 minutes. And I keep telling them I have to go to the bathroom, but they want to know about it, and they said they've been watching, and I told them that if they really enjoy pickleball and they want to be better, and I also expressed to them that I have joined other clinics, but this is the one clinic that I feel that I am going to improve and really going to step up to the next level, because it's more of a mind game. So that's what I take away from it, and I did recommend that they should read the book. And they said, yeah, we already took down the website from the banners on there. I said, absolutely. I said, read on the book on Amazon and then decide for yourself, because that's what my sister and I did. We read the book and we decided the camp would be good for us. Just wanted to say thank you. You guys go above and beyond to make sure that our every need, not just learning about pickleball, but also, our daily meals, the lunch, you pay to every little details. Whatever we need, you guys have it and ready. So we really appreciate that very much.
Just keep on keeping on, because it's wonderful.